What's up, guys? JJ Fade 23. This is going to be an earnings setup. What we, from the trades we took in the room this week, but also just in general how I trade earnings. Pretty much every time, right? It takes me 5 minutes to look at the chart and see if I want to trade in earnings, okay? So basically, the things I like to see on earnings. I'll show you a bunch of good examples we took, and then I'll show you a bad example that we didn't take and the reasons why for it, all right? So, first things first, guys. When I see a stock that has good earnings, right, obviously I want to look at the earnings and see if they're beat, positive, upgrades, and just like a really good positive earnings, not even if it's just a little beat, that's all right if the chart's right, but I don't want to see like the stock really going up with the earnings sucking. That's not really what I want to see. But anyway, so as you see here, right, LMND, see this big accumulation? Well, we bought this in the room at 18 on this flag, but that's besides the point. Because you really typically don't want to be longing right before earnings, all right? Because you don't want to gamble. But they did have this weird chart pattern here that we were talking about. This weird, weird angled chart pattern. But anyway, guys, the point is, all right, the day of earnings, okay? Now, I know we're coming out of this. If you zoom out, we have this huge accumulation area. Look at how beat down this chart is. Basically saying it has great earnings. It has a lot of room to run, right? Ultimately, this thing could really, if it starts going, it could really start going. But what am I actually looking at on the day of the earnings? Well, this is one thing I love to see, a stock that's coming off the bottom, but now it's gapping on top of its daily EMAs. It has a lot of accumulation at the lows. It's gone on top of its weekly EMAs, and it has room to run. So now once I say, okay, this has good potential, then what am I doing? All right, remember, this is the earnings day right here, this gap up right here, you guys. The beginning of this day is the gap up from earnings. So the first thing I'm doing is looking at where the levels right below, the most recent pivots, and where are they acting as support, right? Pivots, recent pivots, look, right here, okay? So now, once I know those are right below, the stock's going to open and we have very clear levels right below, all I'm doing for intraday is looking for a dip and a bottom tail on the 5-minute chart. So I'll either be looking like this. Two ways to do this, all right? First of all, you want to have volume too. You don't want to have like earnings with like nothing. You want to make sure it has volume and not widespread like dollar spreads and just, you want to make sure people are watching it. But two ways. Once you recognize your levels from the daily chart and you know that it has a lot of room to run, first thing, we can either enter on a bottom tail, boom, off of the friggin' levels, or if it dips, we can enter as it goes back through the open price with our stop below, or if it's a little higher, let's say it dips into the 5-minute EMAs and those hold, boom, then you can enter when it reclaims the 5-minute 21.34. So you'll notice these charts, these three charts that I think 3 or 4, I forget, but they all traded the same way this week, and they were perfect day trades that you could have turned into swing trades. We swung LMND, so that one was like my favorite because of how beat it was, and it plus had that upper trend line target. But you can see, guys, look, remember, stock's gapping up. Right below, we have this level right here. $20 big psych level, right? $20 a big psych level. You have a touch here, and you also have 1950 right below. So one of these levels, I'm looking for the bottom tails or the whip back as it dips and whips right back, all right? For the long. And then ultimately, you can hold earnings a lot of times for 1, 2, 3 days sometimes. This might keep going. This might pull back to the short-term EMAs and then ultimately keep going. But we're talking day trading now. So that was LMND. Now look at RBLX, all right? RBLX, look at this. Same kind of chart, you guys, right? Big drop. Now a lot of accumulation down here. Can't go lower. Now look, we're back on top of the weekly EMAs. The daily EMAs, we're gapping back on top of the daily EMAs. Now look at all these touches here. If we break over this, this should act as support. Look. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Look at that. Amazing. Once you break over that, that should act as support. So we mark these levels off. This is the most recent pivot right here. And then the most very important pivot that I would definitely not want to see it go back below this with all this touches right there. So now again, guys, in the pre-market, we were pretty extended off the 5-minute EMAs. So I told people in the room, do not try to long this right off the open. Wait for it to flush towards the 5-minute EMAs and towards those levels, okay? So what happens, it opens, it dumps all the way down. We get the bottom tail. As soon as we get the bottom tail right here, back over the 5-minute, 21, 34. Well, this is the 34. I use these like kind of like as a group, you guys. I use them all. 21, 34, and 50. I wouldn't want to see it. I wouldn't want to see this go like this, all right? This is what I would not want to see. Break through the 5-minute EMAs and then go like this. Bounce back up. Now they become resistance, and now it just keeps dumping, right? So I want to see some kind of entry trigger at the 5-minute EMAs and also at the pivots that I drew here, all right? I want to see that. Sorry, guys. I'm half retarded right now, as usual. So this comes down. Boom. We get the bottom tail long. Put my stop below the bottom tail. I got a little scary. I'm not going to lie. Thought it was going to stop me out, but it didn't. And then I sold into lower high position, as you guys know, which is the 61 to 78% fib. So I saw the bottom tail, went long, put my stop below, sold right around here. And then I took Friday off, so I didn't want to stay even all day and watch this thing. But that was another perfect earnings play with a perfect chart. We also had TWLO, you guys, all right? Notice these charts. TWLO, let's go look. Look at this, you guys. Same exact chart as RBLX. Long accumulation, not going down. Did it ever just curl down? Curl down? No, it's curling up. Now we're back on top of the daily EMAs. Look, we're back on top of the weekly EMAs. This is almost identical. Look at how much room this thing has to run. Let's say, guys, let's say you put your fibs on from the, let's even use this one. Most recent swing high. Guys, even the weakest stock can retrace 38% before it dumps all the way back down. All right, so this thing could run to here, even up to here eventually if it keeps having good earnings. All right, so these are day trades that you could turn into massive swings. But now let's see how we get in. All right, we don't want to, you obviously, I like these flag patterns, but guys, you don't want to long this right before earnings because I don't care. The earnings could come out awesome and they could dump down to here. You don't want to gamble. Once we break over this accumulation pattern though, right? Now we're gapped up over it. So again, we mark the levels, the pivots right here. We know we're opening above those. We want to dip into them. What do we want to do? We have our 5-minute EMAs on, you guys. And we have our levels right here. All right? So we're looking for a dip into the 5-minute EMAs, into these levels. And if we get the bottom tail, that's my trigger. I go long with my stop below. So again, it dips. Boom. Starts to reclaim. I see the bottom tail forming long. Put my stop below. Sold into the lower high position, and we got a fake breakout right here. I sold the rest because obviously a fake breakout can cause a little bit of a dump. And now normally I'd probably put my stop at even and maybe swing these, but I knew I was taking Friday off, like I said, so I didn't even care. Now I'll show you a secret real quick. If this holds up all day, you switch to the 10-minute EMAs. You shut the pre-market data off, and you use the 10-minute EMAs for day 2. And look. Right? Day 1 earnings play. Day 2, you're looking for a dip into the same EMAs, but now the 10-minute with the pre-market off. Boom. Under, over, reclaim, long. All right? So that was TWLO. Now, Amazon today, watch. Amazon wasn't as good because we were up at resistance, but we still had great levels. We had I'll tell you why Amazon wasn't as good, but still tradable. All right? Amazon had these pivots right here. Multi-touch. And this pivot right here. All right? So we had pivots close below on Amazon. But guys, look, we're way up into resistance. We're way up near double top. So you got to be quick with this one because really you don't want to be long in this unless it breaks out. You can still take a long if you get a trigger at these levels just for a quick bounce, right? So Amazon will be something like this because you had levels, but it was jammed in between two levels, right? So really, Amazon, it opens, the pivot's way down here. Boom, it gives you the bottom tail. You have to be quick scalping that up. Because like I said, 200, guys, you never want a long in front of a huge psych level like 50, 100, 200. So this pops and rejects. Boom, you still got a scalp for a day trade, but really you don't want a long until it breaks over 200. But again, it's about having real strong looking clear pivots right below and good earnings. Now I'm going to show you an example of a bad earnings. Good earnings, but not a stock that I would try to long, and that was Google. Guys, look at this. Let me clear this crap. Google does not say long. I'm going to tell you why. Look at this friggin' giant gap up, all right? Now, first of all, if you put your fibs on, Google was gapping up into lower high position. A huge gap up into lower high positions, dangerous, up to the 78% fib. Also, 10 miles off the daily 4. But more importantly, guys, look where Google's opening right here, right? You have a little gap to fill right here. You have a gap to fill. I hate when stocks fill gaps before I long them because that could be the ultimate place where it never, it might not, it just might fill that gap and dump. A lot of people get all out at gap fills and stuff. Also, you didn't have really another pivot till way down here at 178, and then the best pivot right here at 176, which by that time it's dropped so far, there's so many intraday baggies, I ain't going to recover from there. So Google now, if Google was going like this, let's say this was earnings right here, this day gapped up. Let's say Google gapped up only to right here. Let's say Google only gapped up to right here, right? Then it would be the same thing. If Google only gapped to right here, I'd be looking for a quick dip to these levels right here. Either this, 170, because that's a round number, or this gap fill, 172. I'd be looking for a quick bottom tail right here, intraday, you guys. But that's not what happened. It gapped up huge. I'd be wanting this to just open, dip to there, and start to push back up to fill this gap, right? And I'd get out at the gap fill. Or I could cover a little, sell a little right here at this pivot, 178, and then aim for the gap fill. But that's not what happened. It gapped up huge. It was freaking way up here, 83, just a huge gap into lower high position, into resistance, into a gap fill, into the 78% fib, and just not safe to long, right? Not safe to long. So I hope you guys can see the difference between this kind of chart and what I showed you with LMND, RBLX, TWLO. Even Amazon was more like this, but at least had support right below to dip it off. Because even if it's going to fail, a lot of times you get that quick, some buyers step in at that support, like I was saying with Amazon. Even though Amazon was way up, not really great, but you can pretty much know that some buyers will probably try to dip buy right there. Boom, boom. You just got to be quick again, like I said, because you're in low high position, deep into low high position, into double top territory, and you have resistance and a huge psych level. So Amazon and Google, not good, right? Not good. But LMND, TWLO, amazing daily charts. Look at this. Room to run. LMND, Twillo, again, like I said, amazing. Twillo and RBLX are even better, like breaking over this resistance and just miles to run. This thing now that's starting running could easily run up to friggin' $100 psych level. This resistance here easily and even higher. So that looks like a great swing if the market doesn't totally shit. But if the market helps it at all, you just keep using these guys. For now, once it starts going like this, I'm using a 10-minute EMAs with the pre-market data off as a guide. And once it breaks the 10-minute EMAs, I'll go to the hourly chart, look for an hourly pullback to the 21, and usually that will line up with like more important level on the daily chart, maybe like the daily 4 or the daily 8, and then it will bounce from there. But definitely something that could have a long-term really good swing, that and RBLX, if they keep being strong companies, reporting good earnings, and have this kind of chart that they can run for days and miles. So yeah, that's basically how we day trade earnings. So I always do the same thing. I look at the chart. Is it looking like it's coming off the bottom, breaking out of accumulation? Has a lot of volume that day. People are watching it. Has good levels below, but not too extended at the open. And looking for that dip, using the 5-minute EMAs and using the open level and a little over-under action. Dip, wick, back, bottom tail, long. Huge risk-reward trades, guys. Think about that, right? Huge risk-reward trades because, guys, honestly, if you're taking a trade like this, right? If you're taking a trade right here, boom, dip, boom, bottom tail. You take a trade here like $80, risking friggin' 79, you're risking $1 now. Look at it. 85, who knows where it's going to. I'll give you 5, 6, 7, 10. You could get $100 eventually if you held that swing and keep holding it. Same thing on RBLX, right? Sometimes you get an even better one, right? Sometimes you get, boom, you notice it quicker because it's like, say it's in the perfect spot on the EMAs like this, or it hits your level. Oh, like even, I'll actually show you LMND was even better because it had the 20 psych level. Look at this, guys. This dipped so quick, right towards 20, boom. Even if you waited for it to go back through the open price, 20.85, you're risking 50 cents right there, you guys. This thing ripped $6. That's 12 hours. Even if you did it in the same day and you got out at 25, because that's a big psych level, really, like, 5, 10, 15, 20, 25. Boom. That's 10-hour trade right there. If you risked $100 on this trade right here, you made $1,000. I mean, that's just a great play. It's just great setup. So, yeah. I mean, that's how I trade earnings. It works great. I love it. I can see the chart in 5 seconds and know if it's going to be something I would like to trade or not. Then again, I just look at the earnings, see if they beat good, see what people are saying on the news feeds and stuff for like the upgrades and stuff like that, and see what the company has to say. I look to see what their outlook is for the future. If they're not, I don't want to see like a lot of times like Apple for example, they haven't had that great of earnings this time, but also you don't want to have it be like good earnings, but they look for the next 3 months to suck, right? That's even though you could still get a decent day trade out of it, but that might be less likely to turn into a swing trade, So, yeah. Anyways, I don't want to make this video too long. I'm not a financial advisor. Thank you guys very, very much. Have a wonderful weekend.